Please like this video. I really need your support right now. It's the only way this story can reach more people. Thank you so much for being here with me and for your support. The black sedan was sitting at the end of my driveway like it belonged there. Naperville is the kind of suburb where everyone waves, everyone trims their lawn, and nobody parks in your driveway unless they're family, a delivery guy, or you're in trouble. I'd gotten out of school early because a staff meeting got canceled. I was still in my work clothes, still thinking about grading essays, still in that calm teacher headspace. Then my wife launched out of the passenger seat like the car was on fire. Lauren's heels hit the concrete fast. Click, 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 like she was trying to outrun the moment. Her face was red. Her hair wasn't how she left it this morning, and she held her bag tight to her chest like it was armor. She didn't look at me. Not even a flicker. No, hey. No, I didn't expect you. Nothing. The guy behind the wheel leaned his elbow on the window and smiled like he'd paid property taxes on my house. Derek, her boss. Married. Always polished. Always a little too comfortable. He looked me up and down with that smirk men wear when they've never had consequences. Didn't expect to see you home so early, Jason. I set my keys on the hood of my car like I had all the time in the world. My heart wasn't racing. That's the funny part. It was colder than that. Cleaner. I walked up to his window, stopped at a respectful distance, and kept my voice even. Was it before or after you leaned in like you were about to kiss her? His smile twitched. Not gone, but dented. He let out a little laugh like I'd made a joke at a networking event. Whoa. Hey, relax. We were talking work. Quarterly numbers. She's got a lot on her plate. I nodded once. Sure. He started to talk again, and I cut him off with one hand raised. Not dramatic, just final. Listen carefully. You bring your car back to my home again. You wait on my driveway again. You lean into my wife's space again. Your confidence stops being a personality trait and starts being a problem. His eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? It's a forecast. For half a second, he held the stare. Then he looked past me toward my front door, like he expected Lauren to come running out and rescue him. She didn't. The door had already shut behind her. He swallowed, forced the smirk back onto his face, and tried to exit with dignity. Tell Lauren we'll talk Monday. I leaned down just enough so he had to hear me. No, you'll keep it professional Monday. You'll keep it far away from my driveway every day. His smile finally broke. He nodded too fast, put the car in reverse, and pulled away like the street suddenly had speed limits he respected. I stood there and watched his taillights disappear, and I remember thinking, if I'd known where it was headed, I would have saved myself a lot of patience. Inside, the house was too quiet. The kind of quiet that isn't peaceful. The kind that's staged. Lauren was in the kitchen like nothing had happened, pulling a wine glass from the cabinet with the casual confidence of someone trying to control the temperature in the room. She poured like she was on camera, smooth, measured, and took a sip without looking at me. I walked in and set my keys on the counter. What was that? She kept her eyes on the glass. What was what? That car. Derek. You sprinting past me like I'm a stranger. She shrugged one shoulder. Not a full shrug. A half one. Lazy. Dismissive. He gave me a ride. We had meetings. It's not a big deal. I stared at her for a beat, then glanced at the wine. It's Tuesday afternoon, and you're drinking like you just survived something. She finally looked at me, annoyed, not guilty. That part hit like a slap. Not the car. Not Derek. The annoyance. You embarrassed me, she said. Out there. I let out a quiet laugh, because the alternative was saying something I'd regret. I embarrassed you. In my driveway. She turned, leaned her hip against the counter, and sipped again like she was the calm adult in the room. Derek is friendly. He's like that with everyone. It's called having relationships. It's called networking. I nodded slowly. Okay, let's do facts then. How long has he been friendly enough to drop you off in my driveway? She blinked. Jason, how long? She rolled her eyes like I was asking her what color the sky was. Thursdays. He's in the area. It's efficient. Every Thursday. I said yes. And he waits on the driveway. He pulls up. It's 2 minutes. He leaned into you. Close enough that I asked the question out loud. She exhaled and finally slammed the glass down hard enough to make a point without making a mess. You are dramatizing this. I kept my posture relaxed. No pacing. No fists. Just calm. I watched you jump out of the car like you were escaping. And then you didn't look at me. Not once. That's not friendly. That's hiding. Her jaw tightened. Or it's me not wanting a scene. I didn't make a scene, I said. I made a boundary. She gave a humorless smile. You made a performance. I leaned against the opposite counter. The distance between us felt like a third person in the kitchen. Lauren, why didn't you say one sentence? Hey, Jason, Derek dropped me off from work. You couldn't even do that. She shrugged again. Because I knew you'd do this. Do what? Ask you what's happening in front of my house. She took another sip and looked past me, toward the window, like the backyard was more interesting than her marriage. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still here, please hit the like button. It really helps YouTube recommend this story to more people. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the story. I can't deal with your small-town mindset, she said. You're stuck. You're in a routine. You teach the same lessons every year and call it stability. I'm building something. There it was. Not the denial. Not the explanation. The hierarchy. I nodded slowly. You're building something. And I'm in the way. That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said. She scoffed. I'm one step from a promotion. One step. Derek is the one who signs off. I'm working late. I'm taking extra meetings. I'm doing what it takes. And you're out there threatening my boss in the driveway like we live in some reality show. I tilted my head. So that's the angle. Not my husband is uncomfortable. Not my home should be respected. It's don't mess with my promotion. She held my gaze then, and her eyes weren't soft. They were calculating. I'm not going to apologize for wanting more. Wanting more is fine, I said. Letting a married man hover over you in my driveway like he owns a piece of you is not fine. She laughed, sharp and quick. Hover. You sound ridiculous. I pushed off the counter and took one step closer, not crowding her, just closing the air. Here's what you're not hearing. It's not about jealousy. It's about respect. If you can't draw a line, someone else draws it for you. She stared at me, then grabbed her glass and turned away, signaling she was done. Jason, I don't have time for this. I have emails. I have a call at 6. I nodded, because she'd just given me the whole truth in one sentence. I reached for my keys again. Right? Calls. Promotions. Pictures. Titles. You're not lighting anything on fire right now, I said, and my voice stayed even. You're just holding the match and pretending you don't smell smoke. That got her to turn. Her eyes flashed. Don't be dramatic. I walked out of the kitchen without another word, because arguing with someone who's protecting a plan feels like arguing with a locked door. You don't win. You just waste your voice. The next few days weren't loud. They were worse. Quiet. Lauren moved through the house like a tenant. Doors closed softly. Phone calls taken upstairs. Minimal eye contact. She'd answer questions the way a customer service rep answers a complaint. Polite enough to avoid consequences, cold enough to avoid connection. Wednesday night, I made dinner. Nothing fancy. Chicken, vegetables, normal life. She came down late, glanced at the table, and opened the fridge. You didn't text me, she said. I looked at her. I'm standing in our kitchen. That's the text. She didn't laugh. She pulled out a container, picked at it, and said, I already ate. Of course you did. She looked at me like she wanted to fight, but didn't want the risk of losing control. You're being petty. I sat down and took a bite. No, I'm being accurate. She rolled her eyes and started walking out. Lauren, I called. She stopped, one hand on the stair rail. What? Tomorrow morning, I said. If Derek's car shows up again, he's not stopping in my driveway. You can meet him at the end of the street like it's some secret meeting. She turned slowly. Are you listening to yourself? I'm listening to you, I said. You made it clear what matters. I'm just adjusting the layout. Her lips pressed tight. You can't control how I get to work. I nodded. Correct. I can't control you, but I can control what I allow around my home. She stared for a second, then smirked like she had the upper hand. God, you're acting like my dad. I leaned back in my chair. And you're acting like someone who thinks a wedding ring is a decoration. That landed. She didn't respond. She just went upstairs and closed the bedroom door a little harder than necessary. Thursday morning, she came down early. Hair done. Makeup done. Full armor. She poured coffee and didn't drink it. She hovered, then finally spoke in a softer voice. Look, she said, about Tuesday. I don't want us fighting. I lifted an eyebrow. That's new. She sighed like she was the one carrying the emotional load. I'm sorry you felt blindsided. Not sorry it happened. Sorry I had eyes. She slid a mug toward me. I made you coffee. I looked at the mug, then at her. You think coffee fixes respect? Her expression tightened. Then she forced it back into a neutral smile. I'm trying. No, I said calmly. You're smoothing. There's a difference. She straightened. You want me to quit my job? Is that what you're asking? I shook my head. I want you to act like you're married. She opened her mouth, then closed it, like she was choosing words carefully. Derek is intense, she admitted. He gets close. That's his style. But it's work, Jason. It's not personal. I nodded once. Then make it not personal. Say don't come to my house. Say back up. Say anything. She looked at the clock. I have to go. I stepped aside as she grabbed her bag, and I watched her hesitate at the door, like she expected me to hug her. I didn't. At the driveway, no sedan showed up. She backed her own car out and drove off like an independent woman again. Like Tuesday never happened. By lunch, my phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. Proud of you for handling things calmly. Let's reset tonight. I stared at it and almost laughed. Proud of you. Like I'd passed some behavior test. That afternoon, she called me and asked if I could drop off her spare badge at her office. She'd forgotten it at home. The way she said it was too casual, too convenient. I didn't ask why. I already knew why. Her office building was one of those glass and stone places where everything is clean and nobody looks like they sweat. I signed in, got a visitor sticker, and stood near the lobby couches while the receptionist called upstairs. A guy in a fitted suit walked by and did a double take. Derek. He slowed, smiled, and came over like we were old friends. Jason, he said, too loud. Small world. I held the badge between two fingers. Not really. You work here. I don't. He chuckled and glanced at the receptionist like he wanted an audience. How's the teaching life? He asked. Still shaping young minds. I looked him dead in the eye. Still teaching kids that when you cross a line, you don't get to laugh it off. His smile thinned. You're still on that. I took a half step closer, not aggressive, just present. This isn't a continuing conversation. This is a one-time reminder. His eyes flicked to the badge. You delivering props now? I ignored it. You show up at my house again. You wait in my driveway again. You lean into my wife again. There will be consequences you can't smile your way out of. His jaw tightened. Careful. I nodded. I am. For a second, his confident mask slipped. Not fear. Calculation. He glanced around. People were coming and going. He didn't want a scene here. Not in his own habitat. Lauren came down the stairs fast, saw us, and her face flashed with irritation like I'd tracked mud onto a white carpet. What are you doing here? She hissed, taking the badge. I brought what you asked for. She forced a smile at Derek. He's overprotective lately. Derek smirked, happy to be defended. I noticed. I looked at Lauren. You want to talk tonight? Great. We'll talk. But you don't get to label me like I'm the problem to make your work life easier. Her smile dropped. Jason, not here. I held her gaze. Exactly. Not here. Not ever again. Derek let out a small laugh and held up his hands. All right. Everybody breathe. I turned to him. You can leave now. He stared, then shrugged like he was bored and walked away. Lauren grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the exit. In the parking lot, she let go like my skin annoyed her. What is wrong with you? She snapped. You came to my office and threatened my boss. Do you understand how that looks? I nodded. It looks like a husband who refuses to be a prop. She scoffed. You're making me look unstable. I leaned back against my car. No, I'm making your situation visible. Big difference. She crossed her arms. He's the reason I'm getting promoted. I stared at her. Say that again. Slowly. She caught herself, but it was too late. I mean, he's the one who decides, she corrected. I'm working hard. I'm doing everything right. And you're trying to ruin it because you're insecure. I laughed once, short and clean. Insecure. Right. That's your favorite word when you want me to shut up. She stepped closer, voice low. You're a suburban schoolteacher. You don't understand how corporate works. I nodded. And you're a corporate climber who doesn't understand how marriage works. Her eyes narrowed. Don't talk down to me. I'm not, I said. I'm talking to you like someone who still thinks this is worth saving. She paused, and for a second, her face softened. Just a crack. Jason, I love you, she said, quick, like a line she'd practiced. This is just a stressful season. I held her gaze. Then act like it. She reached for my hand. I let her touch it, but I didn't squeeze back. She noticed. I said I'm trying, she whispered. I nodded. Then try with boundaries, not with slogans. She swallowed and nodded like she agreed. She even looked relieved, like she'd regained control. That night at home, she was warmer. She asked about my day. She laughed at one of my jokes. She even sat closer on the couch. Then she slid her phone onto her lap face down and said, "By the way, I need you to be supportive right now. No more confrontations. You can't just show up like that." I looked at her. So your version of reset is me staying quiet while you do what you want. Her smile faded. My version is you not sabotaging my future. I nodded slowly. There it is. She frowned. What? The plan, I said. Keep the house. Keep the comfort. Keep me stable in the background. And keep Derek close enough to pull the promotion lever. Her face tightened. That's not fair. I didn't say it was fair. I said it was real. She stood up, irritated. You always turn everything into a power struggle. I stood too, calm. No, I turn it into a boundary. You turn it into an insult. She stared at me, then walked upstairs without another word. The warmth evaporated like it had never existed. Saturday afternoon, the neighborhood had one of those little backyard gatherings. Burgers on the grill, kids running around, people pretending everything is great. Our neighbors, Tom and Melissa, were hosting. Tom's a friendly guy who talks loud and laughs at his own jokes. Melissa watches everything like she's collecting data. Lauren wanted us there. Not because she wanted time with me, because she wanted a picture of us. Proof. At the party, she hung off my shoulder for exactly 3 minutes, enough for Melissa to see, and then drifted away to the patio table with her phone. Tom handed me a soda. You good, man? I nodded. I'm present. He chuckled. That's marriage. Melissa walked up, smiling a little too sweet. Lauren says she's up for a promotion. Yeah, I said. I've heard. Lauren appeared like she'd been summoned and slid an arm through mine like I was a rented accessory. Jason's proud, she said loudly. I glanced at her. I'm aware of what she's aiming for. Melissa tilted her head. Sounds exciting. Sales must be intense. Lauren laughed. Oh, it's a real world. Not like teaching. No offense, babe. She said it with a smile. Like a joke. Like a casual little public tap on the head. Tom did a quick awkward laugh and looked at his grill like it needed immediate attention. I looked at Lauren's hand on my arm. You want to do this here? I asked quietly. She smiled wider. Do what? Relax. I'm kidding. I nodded. Got it. Melissa's eyes flicked between us, and I could tell she was enjoying the show. Lauren kept going. He's just sensitive lately. I think it's because my schedule is bigger than his now. Tom shifted uncomfortably. Hey, who wants more chips? I slid my arm gently out of Lauren's grip. Sensitive, I said. Right. Lauren's smile tightened. Jason, don't start. I nodded. I'm not starting anything. I'm ending something. She blinked. What are you talking about? I turned slightly so Melissa and Tom could hear me without me raising my voice. From this point on, you don't get to use me as proof of life while you run a separate game, I said. If you want a married image, act married. Melissa's eyebrows lifted like she'd just gotten dessert. Lauren's face went pale, then flushed. Are you serious? She hissed. I nodded. Dead serious. Tom tried to intervene. Hey guys, let's. I put a hand up. Tom, you're good. This isn't your problem. Lauren's voice dropped low and sharp. You're humiliating me. I leaned in a little, not threatening, just close enough that she had to hear. No, you tried to humiliate me. I'm just not cooperating. She stared like she couldn't believe I didn't fold. Fine, she snapped. Go home. I shrugged. Gladly. As I walked away, Melissa called after me, all sweetness. Jason, you forgot your soda. I turned back, smiled once, and said, keep it. I'm driving my own life now. Behind me, I heard Lauren's voice, tense and fast, trying to patch the image she'd just cracked. That night, she didn't speak to me. She moved around the bedroom like I was furniture. Then Thursday came again. I was in the hallway when I heard it, zipper teeth biting into fabric in the bedroom. The sound was loud in a quiet house. Like a countdown. I stepped into the doorway and saw Lauren packing a suitcase. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still here, please hit the like button. It really helps YouTube recommend this story to more people. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the story. Where are you going? I asked. She didn't look up. Work trip. When did you find out? Today, she said, too quick. I glanced at the suitcase. 2 days worth. Neat. Planned. Funny, I said, because that looks like you knew yesterday. She zipped a side pocket and finally looked at me. It's mandatory. Workshop. Off-site. 20 minutes notice, I said. That's your version of being married. She rolled her eyes. Don't do this. I nodded once. Who's going? She sighed like I was exhausting. The team. I stepped closer. Lauren. Who specifically? Her jaw tightened. She hesitated just long enough to be honest by accident. Derek, she admitted. And a few others. I stared for a beat, then nodded slowly. Okay. She looked relieved for half a second. Then I spoke again. I'm not controlling your job, I said. Hear me clearly. I'm naming a boundary. She froze. Here we go. You're choosing to spend 2 days with a man who already crossed the line at our house, I said. If you go, you're choosing that game over this marriage. She stared at me, eyes hard. This is my career, she said. This is my future. I nodded. And I'm your husband. She scoffed. You're making it a competition. I shook my head. You already did. You just didn't tell me the rules. She snapped the suitcase shut like a decision. I'm going, she said. I'm choosing my career. If you don't like it, that's your problem. I held her gaze calm. Okay, I said. Then go. She blinked, like she expected me to plead or bargain or threaten. That's it, she asked. That's it, I replied. No speeches. No drama. You made your choice. She grabbed the suitcase handle and walked past me. At the door she paused, turned her head slightly. Please don't complicate this, she said. I nodded once. You already complicated it. I'm simplifying. She left early the next morning. Not with a kiss. Not with a goodbye. Just the sound of the garage door and her tires leaving the street. I stood in the kitchen and looked at the quiet house and realized something. I didn't feel jealous. I felt empty. Like she hadn't gone on a trip. Like she'd moved out without moving boxes. That evening she called. Her voice was bright. Too bright. Polished. Hey, we just finished dinner, she said. It was the whole team. Everyone's exhausted. I'm going to crash. I listened to the background noise, muffled voices, clinking dishes, someone laughing too hard. Where are you? I asked. At the hotel, she said quickly. Lobby area. Just hanging for a minute. I kept it simple. Is Derek there? A pause. Tiny. Yeah, she said. He's with people. Okay, I replied. Did he drive you again? She laughed lightly. Jason, please. Don't do the thing. I let silence sit for one beat, then spoke. I'm not doing a thing, I said. I'm tracking reality. She exhaled. I'm tired. Can we not? Sure, I said. Good night. She paused like she wanted me to say I loved her. Good night, she repeated, softer. The next day, I went to my friend Mark's place. Mark's the kind of guy who doesn't do therapy language. He fixes engines and tells the truth with his eyebrows. He opened the garage, saw my face, and whistled once. Man, he said, you look like you're here to buy a shovel. I smirked. No shovels. Just clarity. We sat on stools in his garage. Tools on the wall. Cold air. No nonsense. Mark handed me a bottle of water. Talk. I didn't give him poetry. I gave him facts. He listened, nodded slowly, then said, So she's chasing the ladder and stepping on your fingers. I shrugged. Pretty much. And you warned her. Yep. And she went anyway. Yep. Mark leaned back. So what are you doing, besides sitting in your kitchen staring at walls? I nodded. That was the question. I'm changing the structure, I said. He narrowed his eyes. Meaning? Meaning she doesn't get full access to my life while she plays independent. Mark nodded once. Good. Because if you don't set consequences, you're just a background character in her story. That line hit because it was true. On the way home, I stopped at my bank and opened a separate account. Not to punish, to protect. I moved my paycheck deposit over. I left the joint account funded for bills through the month. No drama, just structure. At home, I cleared the guest room. Fresh sheets. Empty closet space. I put an extra set of toiletries in the bathroom down the hall. Not as a threat, as a plan. That night, Lauren called again. This time, her voice wasn't bright. It was tight, a little breathy, like she'd been moving fast. "Hey," she said. "Hey," I replied. "I can't talk long," she added quickly. "I'm exhausted." I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. "Is Derek there?" Her tone sharpened. "Jason, I'm too tired to play games. Can we do this tomorrow?" "Do what?" I asked calmly. "Be married." Silence. Then she exhaled hard. "I have to go." "Okay," I said. "Good night." She hung up without repeating it this time. I stood in my living room, phone in hand, and felt that emptiness deepen into something else, acceptance. Like the last puzzle piece clicked into place, and the picture wasn't pretty, but it was clear. Sunday afternoon, her car pulled into the driveway slow. Not the confident pull-in she usually did. Slow like she was dragging something behind her. When the front door opened, Lauren stepped in and looked like she'd been through a storm she didn't expect. Hair messy, eyes red, suitcase rolling behind her like it weighed twice as much. She didn't even take her shoes off properly. She just stood there in the entryway, breathing fast, staring at the floor like it might open up and save her. "Jason," she started, voice shaking. I messed everything up." I didn't move. I didn't rush. I didn't comfort. I just waited. She looked up, tears already there. "I'm sorry," she blurted. "I'm so sorry. I crossed a line. I slept with him." She said it fast, like speed would soften it. Like saying it quick made it less real. I held her gaze. My voice stayed calm. "You slept with him?" She nodded, crying harder now. "I was drunk. I didn't want to. I don't even know how it. I hate myself right now. I'll quit. I'll leave the job. I'll do therapy. I'll do whatever you want. Please." I didn't flinch. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need a timeline. The respect didn't die in the hotel. It died in my driveway. The hotel just put a date on the certificate. I nodded once. "I warned you," I said. She shook her head frantically. "No, Jason, please, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I replied. "You made a choice. More than once." She took a step toward me like she wanted to grab onto my shirt. "Please," she begged. "Don't do this. Don't throw us away." I turned, walked to the front door, and opened it. Then I stepped aside and looked at her. She stared like her brain couldn't process what I was doing. "Jason, no," she whispered. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't lecture. "Go," I said. She dropped to her knees right there on the entryway tile like that would change physics. "Don't kick me out," she sobbed. "Please. I'll fix it. I'll prove it. I watched her for a second, not with hatred, not with joy, just with the calm of a man who finally stopped negotiating with disrespect. "You already fixed your priorities," I said. "Now you live with them." She crawled forward and grabbed my pant leg. "Please," she said, voice cracking. "Just let me explain." I gently pulled my leg back. No shaking her off. No aggression. Just removal. "I'm not interested in explanations," I said. Explanations are what people use when they want consequences to feel optional. She looked up at me, eyes wide, panicked. "Where am I supposed to go?" I nodded toward the driveway. "Anywhere that isn't here." She stared at the open door like it was a cliff. "Jason," she whispered, "don't close it. Please don't close the door on me." I held her gaze for a beat, long enough for her to understand this wasn't a performance. Then I said the last sentence I owed her. "This door used to be home," I said. "Now it's a boundary." She stumbled up, shaking, grabbed her suitcase, and walked out onto the porch like her legs belonged to someone else. She turned one more time, eyes pleading. I didn't answer. I closed the door quietly. Not slammed. Not dramatic. Just final. The silence afterward was different. Not staged. Not cold. Clean. A week later, I changed the living arrangement. Guest room stayed ready, but not for her. I kept everything simple. I told her, through short messages, where to pick up her things, boxed, labeled, left in the garage with the door code turned off afterward. No long talks. No second chances disguised as conversations. Mark helped me move the last box out. He didn't pat my back. He just nodded like a man watching another man stand up straight. Months passed. My classroom stayed loud and honest. Kids still tried to test boundaries. I smiled more, because my home wasn't a courtroom anymore. I bought a different car. Nothing flashy. Just mine. I started running again. I went out with friends without checking my phone like it was a leash. And yeah, eventually I met someone new, steady, grown, no games. The kind of woman who asks a question and actually waits for the answer. Lauren lost the promotion she'd built her whole personality around. Not because I did anything. Because when people like Derek play with fire, they don't save you when you get burned. Last I heard, she bounced jobs and moved into a small apartment across town. The kind of place you pick when you're trying to shrink your life down to something you can carry alone. And me? I kept the house. I kept my peace. I kept my name clean. I kept my boundaries. Turns out that's what happens when you stop begging for respect and start requiring it.